We all love a comeback story. But sometimes, a spectacular fall from grace is so raw, so dramatic, you can't look away. For over a decade, Julius Malema, the fiery commander of South Africa's economic freedom fighters, has walked the fine line between revolution and ruin. To some, he's a hero of the people, the man who dared to shout what others only whispered. To others, he's the embodiment of danger, a political arsonist dressed in red, with a microphone instead of a matchstick. He was the voice that thundered from the streets to Parliament, unfiltered, untamed, and unapologetically bold. He built a movement that terrified the establishment and electrified the masses. Every speech, every rally, every defiant stare became part of a myth, the man who would never bow. But myths have a way of meeting reality. And this time, reality hit like a sledgehammer. A courtroom verdict that shattered the illusion of invincibility. A whispered raid that no one was supposed to know about. And a 15-year sentence that could silence one of the loudest voices in modern African politics. What really happened inside those walls? What did the police allegedly uncover when they turned his empire inside out? And perhaps the biggest question of all, who's really pulling the strings behind his downfall? Because this isn't just another scandal. It's a battle for legacy, for power, and for truth itself. And as the walls close in, one thing becomes chillingly clear. This time, Julius Malema isn't just fighting the system. He's fighting time, trust, and the ghosts of his own making. So buckle up. Because this isn't politics as usual. This is the rise and unraveling of a man who dared to challenge everything, and now stands at the edge of everything he built. It didn't start with a whisper. It started with thunder. 2018, Mzansi. A sea of red stretched across the horizon. Tens of thousands chanting one name, Malema. He stood on that stage like a general before his army, red beret tilted, eyes blazing, the sun sinking behind him like a spotlight made for revolution. And then, he did it. He lifted the rifle. One shot. Then another. The crowd exploded, roaring, clapping, crying his name. To them, it was power, pride, a declaration. But to the watching world, it was something else, a crime captured on camera. What looked like a symbol of defiance on stage was about to become Exhibit A in court. Within days, the celebration turned into a storm. AfriForum, a powerful Afrikaner lobby, filed charges. The state followed. And suddenly, the man who made headlines for his speeches was making them for all the wrong reasons. The accusations were severe: unlawful possession of a firearm, unlawful possession of ammunition, discharging a weapon in public, reckless endangerment. Malema laughed it off. It was a toy, he said. A prop. Political theater. But prosecutors weren't laughing. They built their case piece by piece. 19 witnesses, 4 years, hours of footage slowed to a single frame. The crowd outside the courthouse grew louder each day. Some called it a witch hunt. Others, justice long overdue. Then came the day that changed everything. A packed courtroom. Reporters elbowing for space. Cameras rolling. Magistrate Twan Olivier leaned forward, voice steady, verdict clear. Guilty. The word hung in the air like smoke. Some gasped. Some cheered. And Malema, the man who had always laughed last, stood still. Silent. He now faced 15 years behind bars. Outside, chaos. Supporters chanting his name. Persecution, they shouted. But deep inside, the truth was colder. For the first time, the firebrand looked fragile. The unshakable had been shaken. Then came the whispers. A rumor that spread like wildfire. A raid. On Malema's home. No cameras this time. No cheering crowds. Just flashing blue lights in the dark. Was it true? Was the state turning the screws even tighter? Sources whispered that the police were looking for more than guns. They were after money. Hidden accounts. Fake contracts. Shadow deals. Because before the gunfire, before the courtroom, there were already skeletons. Old corruption cases, unpaid taxes, and a fortune that didn't match the life of a man of the people. Designer suits. German cars. A mansion fit for a king of capitalism. And if the raid was real, it wasn't just about evidence. It was about exposure. Because sometimes, the most dangerous weapon isn't a gun, it's the truth. When investigators entered the mansion, they weren't just looking for money, they were hunting for proof. Encrypted hard drives, hidden ledgers, secret offshore accounts. Anything that could expose the network fueling Julius Malema's rise. Because Malema was never just a man. He was a movement. A machine powered by loyalty, fear, and something far more dangerous, belief. Behind the red beret and fiery speeches lay an empire of influence, stretching from government halls to the dusty streets where his words became gospel. If the raid found what they were looking for, it wouldn't just end a career, it would detonate the foundations of his world. Ministers, businessmen, even old comrades, everyone held their breath. Because one discovery could bring them all crashing down. The silence in that house felt like the calm before a political earthquake. By morning, the country was on fire. Social media exploded. Newsrooms buzzed. Streets filled with voices, half cheering, half furious. To his critics, the raid was justice long overdue, a reckoning for a man who played too close to the line. But to his followers, it was a declaration of war. A message from the powerful, know your place. Julius is the people, a woman screamed outside the courthouse, tears in her eyes. They fear him because he can't be bought. And that's the enigma of Julius Malema, a man loved and hated with equal fire. To some, a threat. To others, a savior. To all, impossible to ignore. Inside the EFF headquarters, chaos brewed behind closed doors. Phones buzzed, advisors whispered, plans changed by the minute. A conviction, even a short sentence, could finish him. But Malema smiled. He understood something few politicians do. Controversy doesn't destroy power. It multiplies it. Every raid, every headline, every accusation, he turned into ammunition. They want to silence me, he thundered at a rally, because I speak for the people they fear. The crowd roared. Hashtags erupted. And once again, he did the impossible. He made the fire his weapon. Enemies tried to bury him, but instead, they made him immortal. Now, as sentencing day approaches, South Africa holds its breath. If he walks free, he becomes unstoppable. If he goes to prison, he becomes legend. Either way, the storm will not fade. Because this isn't just about guilt or innocence. It's about the soul of a nation, a country torn between justice and power, rage and hope, truth and illusion. So what did the raid really uncover? Stacks of evidence? Hidden weapons? Or nothing at all? Was it justice? Or a trap? Even now, no one knows. But one thing is clear, Julius Malema's story is far from over. He's a man who turns defeat into defiance, and scandal into strength. And as the dust settles, one question remains: when power bleeds, who cleans up the mess? Because in Malema's world, there are no endings. Only new battles. And the next one has already begun.